What technology should you be using when you set up a hybrid meeting? That's the question that we're going to answer in this video. In a hybrid meeting, you have people together in a room, and then you have other people joining that same meeting remotely via video conferencing. If you're doing hybrid teaching, you have a hybrid classroom. That's a type of hybrid meeting because you have some of your students in the room together with you, and then others are online. Welcome to the live stream, welcome to the video. My name is Markus. On this channel, I help you engage better with your audience, whether they're on stage or on video, or in the case of hybrid meetings, we got both. We're going to do a little bit of live Q&A about hybrid meetings for all your needs. So keep those questions coming in the chat. We're going to get to them in approximately 10 minutes or so once I do a little introduction here. This stream today is brought to you by my online course, Master Your Hybrid Meetings. The first 50 people to sign up with the link in the description will get the course completely for free. Just go to markuspresents.com/hybrid. Okay, what are we going to talk about today? Well, there's a couple of questions that we want to walk through when it comes to hybrid meetings, and here is what is on the agenda. We're going to start with what exactly is a hybrid meeting. We'll look at a couple of different examples of it. Then we are going to move over to why you should do a hybrid meeting, i.e. the benefits. Then we're going to look at why should you not do a hybrid meeting, i.e. the cons and the challenges. And finally, we're going to look at a couple of different technical setups that can range from very advanced to very easy that you can set up with the gear that you already own. As I mentioned, in about 10 minutes time, we can take your questions and answers about the technical side of hybrid meetings. Looking forward to having all of you there participating in our stream. Welcome Maria, welcome Sandra. We're going to have a good, Trinidad and Tobago, excellent. This is, we have very exotic locations joining us for this stream. I love it. Okay, let's jump straight into the content here. So what exactly is a hybrid meeting? It's any kind of meeting where you have people in one location and then you have this online component. Even before the current situation, you may have had a hybrid meeting where you had, for example, people in an office conference room together and others joining via phone. That was the old style of hybrid meeting. And that is actually the first type of hybrid meeting that I ever had already many years ago. We're going to come back to that example because I'm going to use it as an example on, on one of the challenges a little bit later on. When we talk about hybrid teaching, that is of course a hybrid meeting as well. You have your students in the room, you have others joining online. It's a type of hybrid meeting, and the technology for setting that up is the same that you would have for an office meeting. The other example that is on the top of my mind is a Toastmasters meeting where we have so Toastmasters is a public speaking club where I'm a member for a long time. Well, we have some members in a room together and others join online, and they both do speeches and evaluation and all these things that we do to get better at public speaking. Another related concept to this is hybrid events. So this is something like a conference, for example, that is broadcast out online, but you still have people in the conference facility together doing it. And you as a participant, you can either join it online or you can join it in person. And there's been some amazing advances actually in live streaming software that you can set up for almost no money at all if you want to do a hybrid event. There's going to be a separate video about that. Have a look at the links in the description below where I'm going to put that video when it's published. So what are actually the benefits of doing a hybrid meeting? I think this is a very current question because back in March when the current situation started, we all went online with our meetings. And I think there was something missing. There was missing this part where we actually get to see each other. And for some people, that's a super important part. And a hybrid meeting solves that because those people who want to meet in person, who are able to meet in person, can do so. Whereas other people can meet virtually in the same meeting. They can join the same meeting virtually. That's a great benefit, I think, the social aspect of it. Another benefit of doing it is that you can bring a team together that is geographically dispersed. The example that I have from my corporate life is that we had, I was working in the headquarters in our company. There were probably 20 people physically in the headquarters, and then there were maybe another 15 people remotely all over the world, and they were able to join our meetings remotely into a hybrid meeting. So it creates that sense of community. You can have a weekly team meeting, all of us together. But that also brings me to the challenges of hybrid meetings, and there's two that I want to mention here. One is that they're hard. They are hard to set up technically. It requires quite a lot of preparation to set up a good hybrid meeting, and it's not something that you do just by flipping a switch. Luckily, as we're going to look at the technology here, there are certainly ways to make it happen, but it is hard. The other challenge of hybrid meetings is that when you have certain people in a room and you have other people joining online, it can easily be the case that the people online feel left out. That the people in the room, they can have conversations among themselves that the other people are not a part of. This is a challenge that you have to manage. And the example from my corporate life, where we had all of our regional guys joining the meeting, the first version of that meeting was us in a conference room, everybody else on the phone. But before long, we realized that is not a good idea. So in the end, everybody went on the phone. So it was a phone-only conference for everybody. So the principle there was that if one is remote, everybody is remote. I believe, though, today with video conferencing, we can actually make that meeting experience a lot better, and it's going to be a greater experience for those people who are joining us online because we have video conferencing. So now let's move over to talk a little bit about the setup that we look at, and this is what I'm going to be talking about. This setup that you see on the screen, this is an example from my Toastmasters Club meeting for a hybrid meeting. And I'm going to switch to a different view in just a moment, but you will see that on there's this projector screen on the wall, and we're actually projecting the online portion of the meeting onto that wall, and then there's a bunch of equipment in the foreground. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll see that this is an improvement to what we had before. This photo is actually taken yesterday when we just significantly improved our hybrid meeting setup. So let's move over to the next photo here so I can show you what this actually looks like from the stage, as it were. On the top left, we have a camera. It's a Canon M50, a mirrorless camera, and that camera is pointed towards the stage so that the speaker can be seen by the people online. So that the solution for making sure that the online participants can be seen by the in-room participants, that's why we had the projector in the previous. I'm going to go back to that previous, so you can see the projector there, so we can see the online participants. Audio is much more important actually than video. So on this screen you can see two audio solutions, but there's actually two audio solutions in one. In the center of that table, there's this Bluetooth speakerphone. It's actually the Polycom Calisto 7200. And that ensures that people can be heard, the people online can be heard in the room, and the people in the room can hear the people online, because it's both a microphone and a speaker. And that device actually works really well. There's a link in the description below this video if you want to check out the Polycom Calisto 7200. And then the last piece, the second to last piece of this puzzle is that phone on the bottom right. And what that phone does is that it has its camera pointed towards the audience. And this way, the people online can also see the members or the participants in the room. Now, all of this is run on this laptop via Zoom video conferencing. And here's the cool thing about these hybrid meetings. You can set them up with like everyday consumer technology. You don't need any fancy conference-specific gear. You can do it with the stuff you already own. And one of those is the phone. And the way that phone is set up is that it's joined. I've joined the same meeting from that phone as I have on the laptop. And that's it's a really clever feature of Zoom that you can actually do that. But there's one other thing I want to say about the hybrid meeting setup. It doesn't have to be fancy. This view is one of the first hybrid meetings we actually did in this particular office location. Here you can see there's no projector, there's no fancy camera, and we're actually, the projector is on that photo on the left, but we're not using it because we didn't have time to figure it out how. So what we're doing here is that the laptop camera is pointing towards the audience so that the audience can be seen. And then the phone camera is pointed towards the stage so that the stage can be seen. The audio is sorted out here with that Bluetooth speaker in the center, the green speaker. That is projecting the audio into the room. And then the audio is being picked up from the room with that microphone. So in the top center of that photo, you can see this lavalier mic. It's the same lavalier mic I'm using to record this live stream. This is the BOYA by-M1 lavalier mic. So we hooked it up onto that mic stand, connected it to the laptop, and if you were in the room and you need to speak, you had to go to the stage so that you could actually be heard. That's a $20 microphone. And with that setup, we made it work, and it actually worked really well because it's a good microphone, still for 20 bucks. Link in the description, of course. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that it doesn't have to be fancy. You don't need a fancy camera, you don't need a fancy conference microphone speaker. It helps, it makes it better, but you can definitely do a microphone. You can definitely do a hybrid meeting without it. And as I was going through the kind of what is the minimum required to make this work, this is actually what I came up with. This is a photo also from yesterday. And I think this represents the minimum viable setup for a hybrid meeting. We're still doing the laptop with the Zoom meeting. On the right, we still have the phone. But what I took away from this is the fancy camera. Like, you don't need a $600 camera like I have in order to run a hybrid meeting. In this version, we're still using the laptop camera, and it's good enough. It's not excellent, but it's good enough. And then we have that conference speakerphone in the center of the stage. And then there's still the projector is still there. And I think this is kind of the minimum high quality hybrid meeting that you could set up. So the point is that it really doesn't have to be fancy at all. I hit the like button if you've been getting some value from this stream already as we move over to the next segment. That was actually all I wanted to cover in terms of the technical setup, and I'd be very happy because this is a live questions and answers stream. I'd be very happy to answer any questions that you have on the stream. Just pop them in the chat and we'll get to them as soon as we can. Hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post new videos every Thursday, tips that are going to help you engage better with your audience. Some of it is like Zoom video conferencing advice. Some of it is stand-up comedy advice, because I just launched a stand-up comedy course that you can check out. There's a link in the description to that as well, comedyforbeginners.com. So, well, let's see. I'm going to have a quick look at the chat here. Okay, we have Mexico, very good. Trinidad and Tobago, we already mentioned. And Indianapolis, very good, very good. Okay, I'm going to read the first question. I'm going to adjust my screen just a little bit so that I can get to it. Okay. Zoom host Toastmaster meeting and Okay, so let's have a look at Sandra's question here. Is that a family wedding has had to be scaled back because of COVID-19? Absolutely. I have Zoom hosted my Toastmasters meetings and church services. What device do you have? Oh no, what advice do you have for me? Okay, so I'm going to give you two blocks of advice here. One is on the technical side. If you don't want to spend a lot of money on the setup, you can most likely use the equipment that you already own and figure out. But the real key piece of advice here is that you prepare it, you test it, and you retest it, because hybrid meetings have so many moving components. Something is going to go wrong. I have quite a lot of experience in this. Something did go disastrously wrong. Just yesterday, as we were starting the meeting, we ran out of bandwidth. So definitely test your setup, so especially when it's a critical event like a wedding. But realize that it's not going to be the same thing. You will basically have to pick, let's say, one camera angle or two camera angles where you're going to be able to do it, and you have to kind of live with it. And you're probably not going to be able to direct you're probably not going to be able to tell people what to do. You have to adjust the setup to it. But if you set up those cameras in the right way, you can definitely make it work for an important thing such as a wedding. Here's a bonus tip, by the way. If you're running this on Zoom, you can record it very easily. That's one of the advantages of doing a hybrid meeting, is that you can easily record the whole thing, which is actually really cool. Normally you would have to have like a separate recording setup. Now you can just do it here. But there was a second piece of advice that I wanted to do more on the let's see, the psychological part of it. You know, just remember that it can be pretty hard to do a good hybrid meeting, but I think you will get a lot out of it because people will be happy to do something rather than nothing. It doesn't have to be excellent. Even if something goes wrong, it doesn't have to be excellent. I think you'll be okay. But if you have a more specific question about that as well, Sandra, I'd be very happy to go into that as well. Oh yeah, one more piece of advice: bring batteries and bring power cables, bring power strips. One of the disasters that had happened in one of my meetings is that my laptop ran out of battery. I knew that it could run easily for 4 hours, but on that day it ran out of batteries. So yeah, be prepared. Let's have a look at Maria's question here. Can you tell us more about the equipment? Okay, Maria is asking, can you tell us more about the equipment? Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to switch back to my thing here. Let's see. I think I'm going to go back to this setup here actually, because this actually shows every aspect of it. So it has the projector, it has the phone, it has the laptop, it has the camera, and it has the conference speaker. I'm going to assume that you already have a phone. So for the phone, all you need is some kind of tripod. I actually have my tripod here. This is the tripod. This is the JOBY GripTight ONE tripod. Probably cost $20, something like this. And the cool thing about this is that, I'm just going to show you this live. Whoops, I'm dropping things already. Is that the clamp here, you can actually unscrew this clamp, and the bottom of it has a screw so that you can actually mount this on a camera tripod. This is a standard camera tripod screw, so you can actually screw that on there, which is really helpful. So that would be if you need the camera to be a little bit higher. So I think that's like a $20 tripod. That particular projector, that's an A-open projector. I think it's called QH10. I wouldn't particularly recommend it. It's not a good projector. That's why I don't have links to it in the description as well. For the camera, that camera costs about $600, and it can be connected as a webcam into this laptop. And that's actually how I'm doing this live stream. I'm using exactly that Canon M50. But you don't need a camera like this. You can use a webcam. You know, use whatever camera you have. Or if you're really on a budget, just bring a couple of phones. You could, because in Zoom you can connect multiple devices. You can bring your if you have an iPhone or an iPad or something like that, you can have 3-4 cameras all connected into the same Zoom meeting, covering different angles. I think it'd just be consumer devices. The camera in your iPhone is good enough. The camera in your Android phone is good enough. I have filmed some of my comedy shows on phones, and they're online, they're published. So the cameras are going to be okay. If you have a fancy camera and you can connect it as a webcam, then do that, but that's not something that you do need to do. So I use Canon, and I use this Canon EOS webcam utility, which allows me to connect it as a webcam with a USB cable. I don't need an HDMI cable, I don't need a capture card or anything like that. And then the last part of that setup, of course, is this conference speaker. So I have it here. This is the Calisto 7200 conference speaker. That cost about $200, and it works really well as a speaker and as a microphone. It has actually 4 separate microphones in it, so it picks up everybody in the room really, really well. Well worth the investment, I would say, if that's in your budget. Previously, I used to use that Bluetooth speaker, let's see, let me show you that. Previously, I used that little Bluetooth speaker. It does have a microphone on it, but it is not good enough to pick up the people's voices in the room at all. That's why we needed a separate mic. And I think that covers the cost of the setup. A couple of phones, a couple of tripods, and you will be good to go. And even surprisingly, actually, the laptop microphone may be good enough. I tested mine the other day, and I actually released a video about that today. And it's actually pretty good even at distances, which surprised me. So I think that's so the cost is anywhere from $0 to $10,000 depending on how advanced you want to be with your thing. But you don't need like professional equipment for this. You can do this with the things you already own, in my humble opinion. Okay, Mariana, I can't see what I'm doing. Yeah, I think maybe I had the wrong camera angle on there. Sorry about that. By the way, this is the fun of live streaming. Sometimes it goes wrong. Same as with hybrid meetings. Okay, let's see. Very good question from Sandra. That is actually an absolutely key question. How do you prevent feedback from 2 or more devices in the same room on a Zoom call? That is a very good question, and it took me a long time to figure out the answer, but here's the answer. You disconnect the audio from all the devices except for one. So if I go back to my setup here, I'm going to go back to my beautiful minimum setup here because I'm a bit of a minimalist. So in this setup, I have the phone connected into the Zoom meeting, and I have the laptop connected into the Zoom meeting. The speakerphone in the center of the stage is connected to the laptop as both a microphone and as a speaker. And when you log in to your Zoom meeting, that phone is also going to be detected as a speaker and a microphone, and that will create an echo. The thing you have to do on the phone is disconnect the audio. When you start your Zoom meeting, you click on the 3 dots, and then there's an option that says disconnect audio. So then it will only have the video signal on there, and that's the only way I've made it work. I've certainly tried other ways of making it work as well. For example, I have tried to connect the wired microphone when I was using that. I've tried to connect that to my phone. That doesn't work because then I cannot have a separate speaker. At that point I was using the Bluetooth speaker. And on a phone, you cannot have a separate device for input and output. But on the PC, on the laptop, you can. And that's why you should run the meeting as a host on the laptop, and then have your phones there separately on a separate channel, so to speak. So that's the way you prevent echo doing it, and from the software side. And then from the hardware side, a speakerphone like this Calisto 7200, for example, it has a built-in echo cancellation, so it's going to take care of that. Okay, and Peter is asking how to get excellent sound. Well, sound is the most difficult part. Like, actually, everything else is easy. Like, the reason why hybrid meetings are difficult is the audio. Because of the echo, because you need to be able to pick up the sound from different parts of the room. The video is easy. Just connect the projector, you have video. Just point a camera, you have video, no problem at all. But excellent sound. A couple of the solutions that I mentioned here actually work really well. So certainly this speakerphone here works really, really well in my experience. But the other idea here with having a physical microphone, that is actually a good way to do it as well. In this setup, you have to walk up until the microphone and stand about 2 feet or half a meter away from the microphone in order to make it work. But it's actually not a bad idea because this is a Toastmasters Club. You're supposed to do a speech, there's a stage, so that actually works really, really well. But, and once again, you don't need fancy, expensive equipment. This is a $20 microphone, as I mentioned. And it even works if you just place it on the, even if you place it just on the table, for example. The best advice there is to test it. I had to test and fail and make miserable mistakes so many times before I got this set up right. But it can be done. It can be done. Let's see. Maria is asking, interested in your other videos. Do you have a list available? Absolutely. One way to find some of my other videos is in the description of just below this video. If you're on computer, you click show more, and then you have the description there. If you're on mobile, you click the little down arrow, and then you will see the description below this video. One of the links I have in there is to a Zoom audio quality video that I made, where I basically go through all the steps on how do you sound great on Zoom video conferencing. But you can also just click my name. Just click Markus Seppälä on the just below this video, and then you will find all my videos there. I have probably something like 50 videos. Some of them are my stand-up comedy acts. Some of them are about how to connect a Canon camera as a webcam. Some of them are about how do you look great on video conferencing, and then there's some more experimental stuff as well. Oh, and there's also leadership lessons from the Comedy Club. It's my series of workshops where I give you some ideas on how can you use techniques that I learned from the Comedy Club in corporate presentations. For example, how do you ask questions to the audience? How do you invite people to the stage? How do you introduce a speaker? How do you ask for applause? Things like that. But yeah, just click on Markus Seppälä below this video and you will find all my videos there. Okay, next question from Maria. How was your speakerphone? Oh yeah, so this is this is the speakerphone we're talking about. There's a link in the description as well. This is the Polycom Calisto 7200. It's a microphone and speakerphone all in one. It runs on Bluetooth and or a USB cable. I used it yesterday and I was able to get something like 5 hours of battery life from a full charge. So if you need more than that, then just plug it in via USB cable. But that's a really good device. And if you look on my channel, I published a video about just with an audio test of that speakerphone, comparing it to this microphone, to my Bluetooth speaker, and to my built-in speaker. The results may surprise you. So as I'm looking through the chat here, I think that it is looking like we are coming to the end of the questions. So, and as we are approaching the 30-minute mark, I would be willing to round this out. If you do have any more questions, just definitely put them in there and we can cover them. Otherwise, we will also be able to be back another day. And there's plenty more hybrid meeting material here on my channel. There's actually a full playlist where I go through some of the technical aspects and some of the non-technical aspects. I have a video about how to lead hybrid meetings. But the one bit that I want to leave you with is actually that we've been talking a lot about audio quality in this live stream. If you want to learn how to sound better in all your Zoom calls, whether they're hybrid meetings or just normal video calls, click or tap the screen right here from my video about the Zoom audio quality. For more, remember to subscribe to my channel. Just click the big red subscribe button. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video.